Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The War of Worth. Today we have Dr. Saroj Salelkar from Goa. She's a healthcare professional with 20 years of experience. She began her career working very closely with the state government as the master trainer for HIV/AIDS awareness. We have Dr. Saroj Salelkar today here to talk about her struggles with one of the most beautiful journeys for a woman, motherhood. The first 3 months after delivery is one of the very crucial periods for a new mother because she's coping up with a lot of new changes in her life. We call this as the postpartum period. A lot of mothers go through depression during this period, and Dr. Saroj is here to talk to us about her journey, which brought her closer to spirituality through the pain that she experienced in that period. Thank you so much, Dr. Saroj, for taking out time to do this for our viewers. Welcome to the War of Words.
Thank you, Nisha. Thank you for having me on the War of Worth. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Let's start with your journey. Why don't you tell us about your early life, the period before you chose to become a doctor? Tell us about your early memories, your life, your family.
Okay. As a child, I was always into books. I was a bookworm in school,
Wow.
and I had read all the books from my school library and the public library, and whichever library my mother could take me. So most of the books I had read, and that time, we had the craze of Nancy Drew and Hardy Boy, Agatha Christie. So all those books I have read. I am from Goa, so my schooling and college also is done from Goa, and my parents both were government officials.
Hmm.
And I was the first doctor in the family. And I knew from childhood that I wanted to become a doctor.
Which means that you were very clear about your purpose and goal in life early on. A lot of us do not have that kind of clarity. We have a lot of desires or longings, so to speak, but then somewhere as we grow up, it fizzles out. I'm glad you were able to pursue what you envision for yourself. In the journey for you as a doctor, would you want to share, some parts of your early career, any incident that you would want to talk about, or what were your experiences as a doctor working with the government for AIDS awareness?
Yeah, during my journey as a doctor, no, let me start right from the beginning.
Hmm.
So, what happens in a few years, we have the academic course. In the last year, we are supposed to be doing internship. So, where we are responsible for doing a lot of running about jobs. So, as a woman, there are few things, which you need to consider, like doing night duties and going out to take night calls. So, these becomes a challenge in some situations. Then other thing which is challenging is, every time, we were there, we were wearing our aprons, we were wearing our stethoscopes, but the patients used to always call us nurses, sisters. And all males were always called doctors. So I don't know why this mindset was always there that mostly women are sisters and males are doctors. So that was one thing which used to feel very, I used to correct a patient there, you call me a doctor. So that was one thing which was there. After I just graduated, I joined the mines in Goa, and I was the first lady doctor, and they were not used to being examined by a woman. So it took some time to build rapport and get them on the level, because they felt this she's a fresh pass out, plus she's a woman. So that barrier was there initially, but then that also went off later on. So these are a few things, and of course, people who are doing night duties, they also have a lot of issues managing home and family. So all those things are also there. Working with HIV/AIDS was a very good experience for me. I was the state level master trainer, means I used to train people under me. I was trained at a national level. Under that, I have conducted trainings for professionals, doctors, police personnel, the general public. So that was very good experience for me. And we had done a lot of outreach also. Then there was no social media as such. So we used to come on the Doordarshan and All India Radio, and plus all of the functions which were organized. So whatever we could do at that time, we were doing. This was before the revolution of the Android phones and the WhatsApp, social media, and all. It was around, I think, 2008 9 that time. 9, 9, 10, around that time. So that was the early experience and the challenges as a doctor.
So you mentioned one of the very important points where women have to work in night shifts, or there are challenges where you go on night duty, where you stay there the entire night, and or sometimes even doctors are very, you're on duty for like more than 24, 36 hours. And how do you manage that kind of a continuous sleep lag? And does your body naturally cope with that, or does that result in a burnout? Or give us a little more idea.
It is difficult. It is difficult, especially if you have a busy night. and then doing it, it's very difficult. I feel it's not a right thing to do so long duties as a doctor.
And how do
You
you
have
cope
to
with
be
that?
fresh for every patient every time.
Hmm.
Presently, I am not having night duties, so that is a good thing. But initially, when we started out, we all have to go through that phase. So that time it was like come home and sleep. I was not married that time, so it was easier. But now, whichever people are doing night duties, it is really difficult for them to manage home and the profession because they need to have someone to take care at home also. So they have to delegate duties, they have to put boundaries, they have to prioritize themselves and their health so that it does not affect them and their work, because you can't be ignorant at your work also. Every patient is important, and every person you see, you have to be able to give your 100% to the patient. So your tiredness cannot overwhelm, cannot overshadow your treatment. So that is very important as far as being a doctor is concerned.
Right. Now, coming to your journey about motherhood, what changes did motherhood bring in your life?
Okay, before I jump in there, let me give you a background as what the situation was at that time. I got married at around 26 and I had two children by the age I was 31. Within 5 years of marriage, I had two children. I had got a new job. When I was in the second pregnancy, I already was at a new job and I was looking after a toddler who was just 2 years and having a pregnancy with hormonal changes. So at work also, it was a totally new scenario for me. I was in charge of a place, and it was being as a in charge and managing was a new thing for me and a new situation. So there were all these factors which accounted. Secondly, what happened is during that phase, I couldn't. My friends were also getting busy in their lives, so they were also going through marriage and having children. So the connection between my friends was also lost. And my husband was doing 36 hours duties, and there was shortage of staff, so he was doing almost alternate days. We could not connect at a deeper level. Like we could not even have a heart-to-heart conversation on a regular basis. So these were the background, the things which slowly built up. And in childhood, I used to suffer from bronchitis. Then it had subsided for some time, and it recurred during my second pregnancy. So I was weak emotionally also, and I was weak physically also. So my asthma was got in, and my sinusitis got in. And because of sinusitis, I couldn't sleep the whole night. So all these things were there. And after my delivery, or around that time, my daughter being very small, she loved everything. She was very joyous. She wanted to do this, that. At that age, children want to explore. They want to climb stairs. They want to climb. You have to have a vigilant supervision on them. So she was in that phase. And the other thing was she was very difficult to feed. It was very difficult to feed her at a given point of time. We needed two people. That time it was we didn't have any devices, so only the laptop and CDs we used to put, because it was not easy to feed her telling stories. If there's someone is telling a story, she will listen to the story, but she will not open up. So it was like that. So I used to bring her different CDs every week. A new CD was there. So that CD, one person was holding her, one person was feeding her, and she was looking at. So that way we had to manage her feeding times. So during this stage, I felt, that being what I wanted to be, I have always been independent. I have never confined to the home. And on the maternity leave, it was like, 12 months I was at home, and only I am doing is looking after my kids, because at home, I had very cooperative, very good in-laws, and my husband also was very supportive. So I didn't have to bother anything about, cooking or household duties, nothing, only looking after my children. And that only was so overwhelming for me. And the worst part was, there was a stage where I stopped writing also. I used to always write child. I used to always write anything which used to come to my mind. I used to write and throw it out later, because I felt it is, worthless. Like, what? Put my thoughts on paper and keep them, like, But that was a way of expression wherein, things used to come out easily. But that also stopped. So it was, in a way, I was feeling caged. There was no way I could maneuver myself out of it. So it was like only my children and their feeding times, play times. It was all, it was my life. No friends, no one to talk to. And suddenly it was like, I started having negative feelings. I started feeling, oh, I cannot feed my daughter. She is so young, and I still, being a doctor, I cannot manage the nutrition. There used to be days when she used to not eat at all for 2, 3 days continuously, hardly a morsel, or visibly becoming thinner and weaker. But I could not do anything. So this is to have a lot of effect on my mind. And then my mind used to be like, no, you are not worth, being a mother. You are not good enough to fulfill your duties. You are not meant to be alive. Like, I used to have a lot of thoughts about self-harm. Only thing which prevented me from that was, what would, if not me, who would be there for them? So only that thought, prevented me from taking any other action. So that was how the feelings were at that time. One day, what happened? This was one of her my daughter's spill, and I was throwing another of her feed out, and I suddenly collapsed. I had a fainting episode, and I had never fainted in my life. So it was my mother-in-law came rushing in, and then she gave me some water. And then I was like, I was reflecting, why did I faint? So as a doctor, I knew I was not having low sugar. I was not having any BP issues. So why did I faint? So at this point, I started self-reflecting. Till now, all these things were happening, but I was not realizing that something is happening within me. So this is a point I started reflecting on myself. And then I spoke to my husband. I said, this looks like, more of trying to shut out the negativity. Like I was getting into that zone where I'm going to faint. It happened 2, 3 times, but I fainted once. And the next time it happened, I realized, I'm going to faint because something was triggering that thing, and I didn't want to go to it. So I was coming out of that. I was just seeing it as a third person. Okay, something is happening here. So that thing changed shifted the perspective for me. And I realized that, okay, something has to be done with this, because clearly I am moving into a very different direction. Then I spoke to my husband, and after a few days down the line, he happened to do an Art of Living course, and he was very active in creating a good awareness and conducting more sessions there. So I told him, let me also try it. I also want to see what can be done. Because being a science student, I never believed in, gurus. I never believed in all spirituality. I felt it was only science in science. Only what can be explained by science is true. Nothing else matters. Like, but after this experience, I felt like I have to try out something. Maybe it will help, maybe it will not help. But unless I take a step, no, I am going to be drowning in this feelings. So the best thing what happened with me is that this thing brought me self realization that, okay, I need to work on this, because it was something that triggered my self reflection.
It's also like a lot of things that happens on a body. The ailments in the body are mostly triggered by your emotional body, like the pain.
Right.
Like you said, your bronchitis came back. The asthma that you went through during the delivery, where you were managing the child, but you were having breathing issues, and you could also be. We often see that most of the ailments, I mean, you are a doctor and you may negate what I'm saying, but I have read this so in so many places that a lot of emotional pain manifests in physical forms in many ways, and which is why I think meditation and yoga is what is advised by a lot of experts today. What is your view on that?
If you had to tell me this, before I went through
A few
all this,
years back.
I would have a debate with you on that. But today, I have actually experienced all what you are saying, and I really find a lot of benefits of doing all the meditation practices that I do. I joined the Art of Living course, and that time also I was in two mind, whether I should do it or not, because after all, it is something which is, at least I'm not aware about it. Like, but then there, the way the things were handled, the way they conducted the courses, it was like, everything. Your mind was like a clean slate at the end of the day. There were no thoughts of negativity. There were no thoughts of feeling overwhelmed. Only thing what I felt was gratitude. I realized, oh my God, I'm blessed. I have so many things which are positive in my life, and I've always been focusing on the negative. So that was a drastic change in a perspective which happened just within the few days of that course. And then I realized, no, there are people who are not having children, but I am lucky enough to have 2 children. The people who are striving for day to day, bread, but I am lucky to have a stable earning. I am lucky to be a doctor because I don't have to rush my children every time. I know what to give them. So there were so many things I felt, okay, these are positive things. You don't have to always react to what someone else says. you know yourself very well. So those things were also there. So I stopped reacting to people's comments. If someone said something, it didn't bother me. It was like, as if that person has just said and gone. It was not coming on my mind. It was not coming on to me like. So that phase was very good for me. And now I continue my practices. I continue my Sudarshan Kriya. I continue my pranayam, yoga, meditation. All these are part of my life. And I have seen a huge difference over the last 10 years, what I have been doing. How I was 10 years back and how I am today is totally different. I don't react to people very fast, and there are many things which have changed. I can focus for a longer time. I can read for a longer time. I can give more time to my children, and I can give 100% time to them. It will not be like something else will be ruminating in my mind. My thoughts are very clear. I don't focus on something which has come and gone. Maybe one day or 2 days something bad happens, something emotionally touches me. 1 or 2 days, that's it. Beyond that, I don't ruminate over that. So these are the changes which have happened with me after going through that. And I realized now that when we say science has a limit. It is because we have discovered what we have discovered. We call it science, but there is so much we are yet to discover. So when we discover that, then we realize, okay, this is also part of it. So now there are so many things like, we have aura scanning cameras which can detect your outer aura. So now it is scientific that we have an external, something outside our physical body. So as science progresses, we will realize, okay, this is also a science. Spirituality is not exclusive of science, but it is part of it. And as we go ahead, we will discover all these things. Like it is not against spirituality. In fact, spirituality and science go hand in hand. That is what many friends also say to me, like, how come you are following a guru and all that? But for in life, for everything, you need a mentor. Everything, unless someone teaches you how to do something, you will not grow. So how we seek mentorship for everything, any small thing we are learning, we seek mentorship. But why not seek mentorship for someone who can improve our life totally? You may think it is an outdated concept, but if that person can guide you in a very positive way, why not? It can really change your life. So I feel this thing has really changed my life, and my practices have really changed the way I handle my life scenario now.
Wonderful. You brought out so many pertinent points to the discussion that I was thinking, first of all, it takes a lot of courage as a woman and as a mother to say that I struggled with motherhood. Not everybody will be able to do that. While internally they might still go through that struggle, but to come on a public platform and say that, I struggled to that period because I was not able to bond with the child or I did not enjoy that period. Hats off to your courage for, doing that, Dr. Saroj, because it's not easy. A lot of new mothers go through this journey, almost everyone. I also recollect a period where they say it's a crossover journey. Like it's like there is a bridge which we can't see that bridge yet. You're here in your old identity, you have still not crossed over to being and embracing that role as a mother 100%. Because somewhere when
Yes,
you're transitioning to that phase, what also happens is that you have to let go of lot of your old things, like your old lifestyle, your old habits,
yes.
your
It's a
old
complete
body.
transformation.
Yes, the old body, everything is changing. And a lot of times we don't know what is going to hit us until we are there. Because pregnancy tak to sab hai, right? Matlab there is celebration, there is fun,
Ah,
lot of people treating you like goddess, right? But जैसे बच्चा आ जाता है, all those people who were, showering you with so much of pampering and all, सब चला जाता है. Because then it's you, your child. For a lot of families, this is the reality, right? It takes a village to raise a child, but that village is no longer there, right? पहले जमाने में होता था, but now my worry is more in terms of the self harm that we do for ourselves, and that should not happen. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to do this, explore this theme on the podcast, is also for that reason. And you being a healthcare professional adds so many dimensions to this conversation. So thank you for doing this for our viewers. You also brought out another important point of gratitude and journaling, right? Where, it is a very important aspect of what we do. Unless we know what we are getting from the universe, we will never be able to appreciate life. Pain comes to all of us with a purpose. अगर आपको वो
Yes.
पीरियड में वो स्ट्रगल नहीं आया होता, तो आपकी स्पिरिचुअल जर्नी शुरू ही नहीं होती. You would have
Right.
still been in that same mode where you would have been working 36 hours, 48 hours, pushing your body for greater,
Right.
pursuits and goals and all of that. So that slowdown happens as a result of some pain, or it could be a physical pain, emotional pain, whatever, that pushes us to get onto a different path of spirituality. And I'm so glad that you are here talking about it today.
I was just you mentioned like you need a village. I actually had a village, but still this was my issue. I had my in-laws who were very helpful. I
Mm,
had my husband who whenever he was free he used to help out. Still it happened with me. So you have to have a village and build an emotional connect and have people who you can rely on in an emotional way also. Means you have to open up. The thing is I
correct,
am not opening up.
correct.
So that is one thing. Another thing which you mentioned, I just wanted to add to it. You said all of us are going through the journey without pain. We would not. I would have not reached the spiritual uh, path. But the same thing happened with me when I read the Bhagavad Gita.
Mm,
I read the Bhagavad Gita written by Paramahansa Yogananda ji. It goes in two big volumes, and it gives feeling. I am Arjuna here. It was like as if this book was made for me. I as how Arjuna was totally down and depressed at that point in time. I was like that. I was in the same state. I did not want to get up. I wanted to give up.
She has transformed her pain into a book. The book is called The Arjuna in Me. Her struggles during this period, what she went through, and her transformation through her journey with art of living is what she has actually captured in that book. And I did read her book as well, where she has beautifully blended the concept of Bhagavad Gita into her journey of motherhood.
Yeah, so then I felt, this is a story which should reach everyone, and these are gems which everyone can use in their day-to-day life. Like there's so many simple things in Bhagavad Gita. You don't have to read the whole thing. Just implement on the action points. Like if there is something happening, look it through a third person's mind. If you're see one, for example, if I take one quote where it is said, "Your right is to action only and not to its fruits." So that means if you're doing anything, you concentrate on that 100%. You don't think what will happen out of it. So now if I'm feeding my daughter, I have to concentrate on feeding my daughter. I shouldn't be thinking I am a bad mother. I should be thinking of feeding her. When I'm writing something or I'm learning something, I should be learning 100%. I shouldn't be thinking whether I will pass it or not. Then my attention is diverted. I'm not focused on my work. So there were small gems I felt, these are small actionable points which can be implemented by everyone in the practical world. So I thought, no, this has to come out. And what a better way to put it out through my journey. So that's why that book came into
Book
picture.
came.
Thank you for telling about the book.
Yeah. Do you have a copy of the book right now?
Yeah, I have it. Want me to show
You
it?
can show it. Yeah.
So my journey is now only concentrated on empowering women and people through Bhagavad Gita or whatever way with small changes like self-care. Self-care, just 15 minutes of meditation or 15 minutes of yoga or any kind of exercise to keep you physically healthy, also emotionally healthy, also, and you will be able to focus on your day-to-day activities. This is a small thing which we can do 15 minutes instead of scrolling our phone. 15 minutes anyone can remove. 5 10 minutes, 5 minutes you divide it. Journaling also you can do. So these are few things I try to get to light through my social media, maybe live talks or whatever I share on media, even on my blog. So these are things I try to do now, so that now that it's not like earlier times we didn't have access to tell people or to guide people. So these are few things at which I am doing at my level as part of service. I don't want to acknowledge it also. It is like I'm doing it so that people can be benefited. That's all. So that is what I'm thinking of in the long term. Let's see how it goes.
So before we wrap up, is there any message you would want to give to all our viewers on any of the aspects around life or spirituality or mental health?
Yes, I want everyone to, be aware of themselves. First of all, you can small things you can start. Physical health, mental health, and emotional health, spiritual health, everything is important. And for that, physical health, exercise, even 15 minutes, anything you do, yoga, you do walking, whatever you are connected with, even dance, so that 15 minutes of that, your mind also refreshes you, and it helps you keep yourself a little bit, on the healthier side also. Your mind also refreshes. So whatever you do, one form of exercise you have to incorporate in your day. Other thing, you have to do some practice for gratitude. Either you do writing, your journaling of what goes on in your mind on the day-to-day basis, or you write your gratitude, why you're grateful for today, or anything what is going on in your mind, you just put it on paper so that it is not troubling you inside. It is out somewhere, and you feel a lot of relief after doing that. This is my personal experience. Thirdly, what I would like to say, no, do not ignore yourself. As mothers or as women, we are expected to do very great things. We are expected to touch, limits, benchmarks which are impossible. Be a perfect mother, be a perfect wife, be a perfect professional. Let go of perfectionality. Be what you can at the best which you can. Just because someone can do something better does not mean that you have to reach that benchmark. You do not have to reach that benchmark. Stop, thinking that you have to be a superwoman. Be what you are. And prioritize what you think needs priority. Delegate where you can. Involve your family members. Involve the village around you to help you. Involve your family. Involve your spouse. Involve your children in whatever work. If you need help somewhere, ask for help. Delegate. These are few small changes which we need to do in our lives, which will go a big way in keeping our mental health healthy. And when we are healthy, automatically the family feels it, the vibrations are there, and the family also feels empowered. So it is not that you are doing it for yourself. You don't have to be guilty that no, you're doing something for yourself. Just because you are doing it, it is going to reflect in all the circle around you. So take care of yourself, do something for yourself. It will eventually benefit you and your family and the society at large. That is what my message is to you.
Thank you so much for sharing your nuggets of wisdom with all our viewers. I think you've given us a lot of valuable tips on how to live a mindful life. Thank you for that, Dr. Saroj. So, all the viewers who have watched this episode, you want to share your gratitude with Dr. Saroj, please do, send them in your comments, likes, so that we know whether you like this episode or not. Also, help us create more meaningful content with your comments and likes. Thank you, and we will hope to see you again with another interesting episode.
Thank you, Disha. Thank you so much for having me.